The Boston Celtics just got great news on their center, Kristaps Porzingis. As you guys know, he's been dealing with recovery from his surgery back in June, but Kristaps Porzingis is making way to possibly come back to the Celtics roster earlier than we expected, per ESPN's Charania. So we're going to break that down here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Allie Barefoot. Thank you guys so much. In the second watch party of the year, we did end up reaching a huge milestone, which was 40,000 subscribers. That means the world to me, and I know that you guys love coming back to all of our watch parties, so we'll keep doing that. But I do want to keep adding on to this family. So if you guys want to help us at least get to 40,500 subscribers, and I promise it will make it worthwhile. We got you the latest news and rumors around the Boston Celtics, and I mean, hey, it's the best team in the NBA. You guys want to be up to date, so all you guys have to do is hit that sub button for me. I'm going to give you guys a quick little refresher on Porzingis' recovery. We do know that he suffered a calf injury versus the Miami Heat in April. This is what kept him out of pretty much the entire run to the NBA Finals, with a desired start date to be the NBA Finals. Then he plays and pretty much single-handedly defeats the Dallas Mavericks by himself, but during that game, he dislocated his posterior tibialis tendon, pretty much the rarest leg injury in the world. And then, after the finals, he had a successful surgery, obviously after partying in the parade, and now they're hoping for a December to January type of return for Kristaps Porzingis, so it may be 2025. But the latest update here from Charania says different. The Celtics are targeting December, from what I'm told, for Kristaps Porzingis and his return. There was a video I was seeing of him last night warming up before the game, and he's not progressed to contact yet, but he does look really, really good. The Celtics have the luxury of being patient until he comes back. Right now, I'm told they're targeting December, but it could be even earlier. The good news is they don't need to rush him back at all. He has to progress to contact. So currently, he's just doing individual workouts, and unfortunately, I don't have the rights to that video that Shams Charania is talking about, so I did take a couple of screenshots here in the sense that these were the warm-up shots that Kristaps Porzingis was taking ahead of the Milwaukee Bucks game. He was pretty much running from half court to the corner, half court to the elbow, half court to the three-point line. So he was just doing the shuttle races back and forth, but that's still a lot for a guy that's been struggling with a right calf injury and now a left leg tibialis tendon that he did have a successful surgery on way back in June. That's about a 6-month recovery. So this is huge for the Celtics in order to be able to get somebody back like Kristaps Porzingis. But Shams Charania went on to say on the Pat McAfee show what his road to recovery is going to look like. Number one, they have to measure his body, legs, knees, etc. Because he is unfortunately made of glass, they do need to make sure that everything is aligning and looking good and is ready to go back to the ball court. Number two, his muscle groups are balanced. They want to make sure they're not putting too much emphasis on other areas of his body. They want to try to get him back as if he never had a surgery before. Number three, apparently, according to Shams, they do have metrics for muscles, so pretty much a standard that these muscles need to be at before they are going to allow those muscles to be able to move the way that they used to. So this is a whole progress for Kristaps Porzingis. And the last thing, he did mention that he does need to sustain some physical contact because obviously it's a dog-eat-dog world in the NBA, and he's going to have to take some hits down low, especially being 7'3". So he has not had any contact since June. So that's the last thing he'll have to do before he can come back. And this would be huge if he could come back in December and not January. Why? Because the Celtics have a pretty tough December. I'm going to be honest. I think November is kind of an easy schedule compared to the rest of the league. Not saying that, they can't lose any of those games, but when you look at what the Celtics have to take on in December, right now the Cleveland Cavaliers are the only undefeated team in the Eastern Conference right now at 4-0. Then they go play Miami. I know Miami's struggling, but it's still a rivalry game. Back to Milwaukee to take on Giannis, who you almost lost to last night. Then you've got the Memphis Grizzlies with John Morant back in action. The Philadelphia 76ers, you want your big man going up against Joel Embiid. Then you got back-to-back Indiana Pacers games, once again still struggling, but it is still very early. So you've got a lot of good playoff contenders here in the month of December, and it would be great if we could get Kristaps Porzingis back somewhere in this range, Christmas and on. But it might be even earlier than that. I have a question here for you guys. When do you want to see Porzingis play? If Shams Charania is being told that it could be earlier than December, I'm going to go the earliest being late November. Would you rather see him come back in November or December? Let me know in the comment section down below. Look, personally, I think December. Hell, I think January. If the Celtics are still playing good, you do not want to put him fragile and not ready to go back on the court if you don't need to. But if the Celtics need him by that time, then we can make another video and discuss it. But up next, I have an injury update here from Sam Hauser as well, who has missed the last 3 ball games with a back injury. This is huge news. You guys are going to want to stick around. But first things first, let me tell you about our sponsor here on Celtics Today, and that's Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America. And let me tell you, over 10 million active users playing it, including myself. The reason why I love playing Prize Picks is because it's just so easy. All you guys have to do is pick more or less on a player's projected stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks, not to mention in over 30 states, including Cali, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. For tonight's game, I'm hoping my Yankees do not get swept by the Dodgers. I know a lot of you guys are Red Sox fans, so you're probably saying, go Dodgers right now. But for my Prize Picks, I like to always pick the more. I got Freddie Freeman having more than 1.5 total bases because for some god-known reason, he is the Yankees' kryptonite, and then I do have Giancarlo Stanton having more than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. These are my Prize Picks for tonight, but if you guys want to go on ahead and test your skills along with 10 million other active players, all you have to do is download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code CLNS and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. So Sam Hauser, as you guys know, has not played since the season opener against the New York Knicks, which he looked great in that season opener. But then he comes out and he's been disclosed with a lower back soreness that, in my opinion, seemed to come out of nowhere. But the good news is, now that we are heading into Game 5, the Boston Celtics did tweet out that Sam Hauser is probable to return from a back injury tomorrow against the Indiana Pacers. And then obviously Porzingis is still out with that recovery. But the good news is Hauser may be coming back. And Hauser actually did talk about the back injury and kind of where this came from, because I thought he looked great in the season opener, and then he misses the next 3 games. Hauser said after their win against the Wizards, it's just something that's kind of flared up, kind of dealt with it on and off throughout the summer and preseason, so I'm just trying to manage it as best I can and go from there. And obviously, you don't want to rush him back if this is something that is going to continue to linger, but we do know that Sam Hauser is an influential part of the Celtics coming off the bench, the same way that Peyton Pritchard has proved to be in these last couple of games as well. But I also saw this tweet here earlier today, this tweet on Twitter, but I wanted to tell you guys in a graphic, is that with Sam Hauser, when you have a player that's coming off the bench in the last 2 seasons, is helping your team become a better defensive unit overall, which is not easy to do, considering the fact that the Boston Celtics already have one of the best defenses in the NBA already. Hauser on the court in the last 2 seasons allows the Boston Celtics to have a better defensive rating than when he's off the court, which is saying a lot for a guy that literally comes off the bench. He does not start for the Celtics, and when he does come in, he completely changes the game for the Celtics in terms of being on defense. But he can also do the exact same thing when it comes to shooting the basketball. Hauser, when he's on the court, he does have a better offensive rating with 113.8 than off the court with 118.9 the last 2 seasons. So the Celtics do better on defense, and the Celtics do better on offense when Sam Hauser is playing for Boston. And we did get to see a little bit of that with Peyton Pritchard against the Bucks, which does emphasize the need to have those really strong bench players, because the minute the starters do go out, you want to be able to have confidence in your bench guys, and I have full confidence in Pritchard and Sam Hauser, and guess what? So does Jaylen Brown. Brown discussed Peyton Pritchard's efforts after the Bucks, but then also gave a great shout-out to Sam Hauser here, saying, Pritchard, he's a killer. He's always looking to put pressure on a defense, and if you don't pay attention to him, you don't guard him, he'll light you up. When Sam comes back, we want him to do the same thing. Get those open threes. Those are 2 of the best shooters in the league. So we want to keep finding those opportunities for them. We know Pritchard dominated against the Bucks, right? We know that he nearly had a 30-piece going up against Giannis and Damian Lillard, and he set a Celtics franchise record for most made threes coming off the bench with 8. We also know that Sam Hauser can do the exact same thing. He almost did it last year, setting that record. So if you had this dynamic duo of Hauser and Pritchard coming off the bench, I mean, you could make either one a case for 6th man of the year. It really does make a difference for the Boston Celtics going up against a pretty tough team in the starting five and on depth, somebody like the Milwaukee Bucks. But the good news is if Sam Hauser doesn't end up coming back, because he is just probable at this point, we got to see a lot of wing Jordan Walsh come in and get valuable minutes, knowing that he is a second-year player in the NBA. And we know that Trizzy Trace loves that his Arkansas background is going to help the Boston Celtics here. But he showed out. He really did well. He held his own, especially against a two-time MVP in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So if Walsh can't come back, if Hauser can't come back for tomorrow's game, you might not get that three ball from Walsh like you would Hauser, but I think you can get the defense, which just proves that the Boston Celtics do still have a ton of depth on their bench. My last question here for you guys is, if you want Sam Hauser to return and you're excited for Sam Hauser's return, go on ahead and hit that like button for me. And as always, if you want the latest on the Boston Celtics news, rumors, injury updates, watch parties, live shows, doesn't matter, you're going to find it here on YouTube at Celtics Today by Chat Sports, so subscribe.